Aaron's eyes widened. No! The massive ship fired. The blast struck the dragon squarely in the chest. His roar echoed across the colony, shaking every wall. His body spun in space, fire spilling from his jaws as his wings flailed. Smoke and ash burst from his scales. No! Aaron shouted, his heart tearing. The dragon struggled, his body tumbling, but even through pain his eyes burned. He steadied himself, wings dragging him upright. He turned back toward the massive ship, his chest heaving. Aaron. The dragon's voice crackled through the comm line, weak but steady. Do not stop. Aaron's hands shook. You can't. You're hurt. Do not stop. The dragon roared, forcing fire from his lungs. Fight with me! Aaron's fear snapped. His grief turned to steel. He slammed the controls, rerouting every last bit of power into the colony's cannons. Sparks exploded, circuits burned. But the turrets lit up brighter than ever. He locked onto the massive ship, teeth gritted, and fired. The blast ripped across the void, slamming into the enemy's shields. They cracked but held. The giant ship answered with another volley, shaking the colony to its core. The dragon surged forward, his flame bursting again despite the pain. He struck the enemy's side, fire ripping across its black steel. The ship reeled, its formation breaking, but the dragon faltered, his body shuddering. His flame flickered weak. Aaron shouted into the comm. Stay with me! Don't you dare give up now! Through the smoke, the dragon's voice came low, broken but fierce. One last fire remains in me, and I will use it. Aaron's breath caught. He realized what the dragon meant. No. No, you can't. But already the dragon's body glowed, fire building in his chest like a star about to explode. The scavenger fleet tightened, realizing the danger too late. Aaron stared at him, heartbreaking. Please, don't leave me. The dragon's eyes turned toward him, soft despite the fire raging inside. His voice came like a whisper. 104 years I waited for someone to keep the promise. Now, I am not alone. And with that, the dragon roared, fire bursting from him brighter than ever before, lighting the void like a second sun. The scavenger fleet vanished in the blaze. Ships cracked, melted and burned, their screams lost in the firestorm. Aaron shielded his eyes, tears running down his face. The colony shook, flames tearing through the dark. And then, silence. The dragon drifted, his body smoking, his wings torn. His flame flickered faintly, struggling to stay alive. Aaron pressed a hand to the glass, voice trembling. Hold on. Please hold on. The old dragon, weary and broken, lowered his head slowly. His eyes glowed one last time as he whispered across the comm line. The promise lives. And then, his fire dimmed, the love fulfilled. The colony was silent again. Smoke drifted through broken halls, sparks fell from shattered walls, and the faint hum of ruined circuits echoed in the dome. Outside, wreckage of the scavenger fleet floated lifeless, their flames fading into cold darkness. But Aaron's eyes saw only one thing, the dragon. The ancient creature floated near the broken window, his body battered, his wings torn. His silver scales were blackened with burns and smoke curled weakly from his chest. His flame, once bright as a star, flickered now like the last spark of a dying candle. Aaron ran through the corridor, stumbling over debris, until he reached the airlock. He pressed his helmet on and launched himself into the void. His small thrusters carried him toward the massive body that had fought for him, with him, and almost died for him. He reached the dragon's face, his own reflection small, in those fading eyes. Stay with me, Aaron said, voice shaking. Please, don't let it end like this. The dragon blinked slowly, smoke rising from his nostrils. His voice came weakly through the comm line. I have given all that I had. My fire is nearly gone. Aaron's chest tightened. No, it doesn't end like this. You waited 104 years. You're not going to die alone now. The dragon's eyes softened, glowing faintly. And yet, I am not alone. You came. Tears burned Aaron's eyes. He pressed a gloved hand against the dragon's snout, feeling the rough, scarred scales beneath his palm. You don't understand. You're more than a promise. You're proof. Proof that trust matters, that waiting wasn't in vain, that someone still remembers. The dragon's breath came slow, uneven. Do you swear it, human? Do you swear you will carry this bond beyond me? Aaron's voice cracked, but it was steady. I swear it. I'll tell them. I'll make them remember. I'll keep your story alive. You will never be forgotten. For a long moment, there was silence. Then, the dragon exhaled softly, a faint flicker of flame escaping his jaws. His eyes closed, but not in defeat. There was peace in his face, peace he had not known in more than a century. You have fulfilled what she could not, he whispered. You gave me love. You gave me an ending. Aaron's heart broke, but he held firm, his hand never leaving the dragon's scales. No, not an ending, a beginning. The dragon's great body shuddered once, then stilled. His glow dimmed, but his expression was calm. The silence of space wrapped around them both. Aaron floated there for a long time, his hand still resting on the creature who had waited longer than any heart should. He could not speak. He could only feel the weight of the promise now resting on his shoulders. Finally, he activated his thrusters and drifted back to the colony. The wreckage was silent, but Aaron felt something alive in it now. Not the silence of death, but the silence of memory. He entered the dome again, his steps heavy but purposeful. The carvings on the walls seemed different now, clearer, brighter, alive with meaning. Dragons and humans side by side, a vision of what could have been. Aaron lit the flame at the center of the dome. It burned weakly, but it was enough. He whispered to it, his voice breaking. For him. For the promise. Days passed. Aaron repaired what he could, recording every word, every carving, every memory the dragon had given him. He spoke into his ship's logs, sending signals into the void, carrying the story outward. And somewhere across the stars, someone would hear it, someone would know. One night, as he sat before the flickering flame, Aaron looked out at the stars and whispered, You waited for love, and you found it, not in Ilara, not in the past, but in me. His voice steadied. I'll carry your fire, forever. The colony drifted on in silence, but it was no longer a graveyard. It was a monument. And above it all, the stars seemed just a little brighter, as if the universe itself had bowed to the bond of a man and a dragon, proving that even across centuries, promises could still be fulfilled. He had never fought anything larger than a storm in space, but now, standing beside this dragon, he felt a spark he hadn't felt before. He clenched his fists. I won't. The dragon's flame flared brighter, the dome glowing with its light. Then perhaps, he whispered, the promise will live again. And outside in the dark void, the approaching ships drew closer. The bond awakens. The sound of the scavenger ships grew louder with every passing moment. Their engines rumbled through the steel bones of the colony, shaking loose dust and broken fragments. Aaron stood near the shattered window, staring at the blinking lights moving closer. His chest felt tight, his breath quick and shallow. The dragon's voice rumbled low behind him. Do not be afraid, human. Fear is natural, but courage is a choice. Aaron turned, looking at the massive creature whose scales shimmered faintly in the firelight. The dragon was old, scarred, and weakened by years of waiting, but there was still strength in his glowing eyes. I've never fought anyone before, Aaron admitted. Not like this. My ship. It's not a warship. It's barely held together. The dragon lowered his head until his gaze met Aaron's. You are not alone. Together, we may yet stand. Aaron's heart pounded. Something in the dragon's words, in the quiet fire burning inside his chest, lit a spark inside him. For so long he had wandered aimlessly through the stars. For so long he had lived without purpose. But now, standing beside this ancient being, he felt something different. A reason to fight, a reason to stay. He nodded slowly. Tell me what to do. The dragon drew in a deep breath, smoke curling from his nostrils. The scavengers hunger for metal, for power, for anything they can steal. They will strip this place until nothing remains. We must deny them what they seek. You have a ship, small but useful. Its engines can light the colony's old power grid. And I still have flame. Aaron's eyes widened. The grid? After all these years, it still works? The dragon's voice rumbled with faint amusement. Dragons do not forget how to build. The humans taught me their machines. I have kept the heart of this place alive, even as the walls crumbled. Aaron looked around, realizing for the first time that the dome was not as dead as it seemed. Faint lines glowed across the floor, tiny sparks flickering between the cracks. The dragon had been feeding them with his own fire, keeping the last veins of power alive for more than a century. Then let's bring it back, Aaron said, his voice firm. The dragon's eyes glowed brighter. Yes. Together. Aaron ran, back toward his ship, his boots echoing down the corridor. He powered up the engines, rerouting energy into the docking cables. Sparks leapt as the systems connected, the old colony groaning as circuits long dormant shuddered awake. Lights flickered weakly across the walls, then steadied. The colony breathed again after more than 100 years. Back in the dome, the dragon rose to his full height, wings spreading wide. Dust cascaded from the ceiling as his massive form stretched, blocking the faint starlight. He lifted his head and roared, a sound so deep, so powerful, it shook the entire structure. The flame inside him burst out, curling across his jaws, filling the air with heat and light. Aaron rushed back, his heart racing as he saw the dragon's fire blaze brighter than before. For a moment, the old scars, the silver scales, the tired wings, all of it vanished in the glow. The dragon looked timeless, magnificent, terrifying. The scavenger ships must have heard the roar, because their lights shifted, circling closer. Harsh beams of blue and red cut through the void, searching for entry. They're coming fast, Aaron called out. The dragon lowered his gaze, fire still burning in his throat. Then let them come. Aaron hurried to the control panel on the wall, fingers flying across old switches. The colony's defense turrets creaked to life, metal arms unfolding slowly. Their barrels glowed faintly, hungry for power. They're online, Aaron shouted. The dragon's voice rolled deep and steady. Good. Aim them. I will give them flame. Aaron adjusted the old targeting systems, locking onto the first scavenger ship. His hands shook, but his focus sharpened. The turret whined, struggling to charge. The dragon stepped closer, placing one massive claw against the conduit. Fire surged through him, down into the wires, flooding the system with raw energy. The turret's glow brightened instantly. Aaron fired. The blast streaked into the void, striking the lead scavenger ship. It exploded in a burst of light, fragments, scattering into darkness. Aaron gasped, his chest pounding. The dragon growled with satisfaction. Again. More ships swarmed in, their weapons charging. Aaron aimed, fired, and missed one. The enemy's cannons lit up, sending streaks of plasma crashing into the colony's walls. Metal screamed as part of the structure tore away. Aaron stumbled, the shockwave throwing him against the console. We can't hold forever, he shouted. The dragon's roar cut through the chaos. We need only hold long enough. He spread his wings and launched himself through the broken window, into open space. For a moment, Aaron could hardly believe what he saw. A silver-scaled dragon, old yet fierce, gliding through the void, fire trailing from his jaws. The scavenger ships swarmed around him like vultures, but he met them head-on, fire bursting, across the black sky. His flames tore through metal, melting wings and cracking hulls. His roar carried through the emptiness, vibrating even inside Aaron's chest. Aaron watched in awe, his fear turning into determination. The dragon was not fighting alone, not anymore. He powered up the second turret, locked onto another ship, and fired. The blast struck true, sending another scavenger vessel spiraling into flames. Together, human and dragon fought side by side. And for the first time in 104 years, the colony was alive. Not in ruins, not in silence, but in fire and defiance. The threat arrives. The void burned with fire. Wreckage from scavenger ships drifted through space, glowing red against the dead star's shadow. Aaron's hands shook as he reloaded the old turrets, sweat running down his face. He had never fought a battle before, yet here he was, standing inside a half-dead colony, firing weapons older than his grandfather, and somehow winning. But outside, the true storm was only beginning. The dragon soared through the black sky, his wings stretched wide, silver scales glinting with the reflection of flames. His roar thundered across the vacuum, carried through metal and fire. His breath poured out in a stream of molten fire, tearing through ships like paper. Even weakened by age, even slowed by time, he was still terrible, still magnificent. Aaron stared, heart hammering. He's unstoppable. But then his eyes caught movement beyond the wreckage. Larger shapes, darker than the scavenger raiders that had fallen so easily. A new fleet. Dozens of ships, heavier, sharper, crawling out from the shadows. Their lights flashed in ruthless formation, and their weapons glowed with cold, merciless energy. Aaron's blood ran cold. More are coming. Inside the dome, the old system screamed as scanners flickered alive. The display lit up with red marks. Too many. 10 ships, 20, 30, an entire swarm. The dragon wheeled in space, smoke trailing from his jaws. He saw them too. His eyes narrowed, burning bright with fire. They send their strongest, the dragon growled, his voice rumbling through the comm lines Aaron had connected. They smell weakness. Aaron's throat tightened. There are too many, you can't fight them all. The dragon's reply came firm, unyielding. I was born in war, I will die in fire, but I will not surrender. Aaron gritted his teeth, fists clenching over the controls. Then you won't die alone. The scavenger fleet opened fire. Streams of plasma streaked through the void, slamming into the colony. Explosions tore across the walls, sparks raining down. Aaron ducked as one console burst into flames. The dragon roared, flames bursting from his jaws, striking back at the nearest ship. The enemy vessel cracked open in light and fire, but the others tightened their formation, circling like predators, around a wounded beast. Inside the colony, Aaron worked desperately, rerouting more power from his own ship into the ancient grid. He could feel the engines of his small cargo vessel straining, almost breaking. Warning lights screamed, but he ignored them. Come on, Aaron muttered, slamming a fist against the console. The turrets groaned, struggling to hold. Power. One fired weakly, barely scratching an enemy hull. Another sputtered. Dead. The scavenger fleet pressed closer. The dragon fought with fury, his flames sweeping across the void, but his breaths came heavier now. Every burst of fire cost him strength. His wings beat slower, his body trembling with age. Aaron's chest clenched as he watched him. He's pushing too hard, Aaron whispered. He won't last. Then suddenly the largest ship broke, forward. Twice the size of the others, armored with black steel, its cannons glowing with a deadly charge. It locked onto the dragon. The dragon lifted his head, his voice deep and steady, carrying the weight of forgotten years. I will tell you, but know this, human. The promise was not only for me, it was for all dragons. It was for love, for trust, for a bond that the galaxy has never understood. Aaron leaned forward, his heart racing. Every word felt like a door opening into something vast and hidden, and in the shadows of the dome, the flame burned brighter than it had in 100 years. The first encounter, Aaron sat quietly on the broken stone, the flickering flame between him and the dragon. The silence felt heavy but not empty. It was the kind of silence filled with meaning, the kind that held secrets waiting to be spoken. The dragon shifted his massive body, scales brushing against the cracked walls. His eyes glowed faintly, and, when he finally spoke, his voice rolled deep like distant thunder. Human, the dragon said, do you know why I am still here? Aaron shook his head slowly. Because of a promise, he whispered. The dragon nodded, smoke curling from his nostrils. Yes, but not just any promise. It was a bond, one that should never have been broken. Aaron leaned forward, his heart pounding. Tell me. The dragon's gaze drifted toward the carved walls, toward the faded shapes of starships and dragons etched together. Long ago, when this colony was alive, humans and dragons lived side by side. We built together. We dreamed together. I was young then, though even in youth my years were greater than any human's. They welcomed me as guardian, and I welcomed them as kin. His voice softened. Among them was one woman. Her name, I still remember. Ilara. Aaron held his breath, sensing the weight in the dragon's tone. She was not afraid of me. She touched my scales with gentle hands, spoke to me as though I were not beast but friend. She told me stories of Earth, of oceans and forests I had never seen, and she promised. The dragon's eyes closed briefly. She promised she would never leave me behind. Aaron's chest tightened. He could see it in his mind. The woman, standing bravely before a dragon, giving her word with sincerity. But she left. Aaron said softly. The dragon's head bowed. Yes. War came. Humans fled. I remained. She said she would return. I believed her. For 104 years I believed. The silence deepened again. Aaron felt his throat tighten, and for a moment he didn't know what to say. He wanted to tell the dragon that waiting so long was madness, that no one could keep such a promise. But looking into those glowing eyes, he couldn't. Instead, he whispered, "You weren't wrong to believe." The dragon's head lifted slightly. His gaze locked onto Aaron, sharp yet fragile, as if searching his heart. "And do you believe, human? Do you believe promises matter?" Aaron hesitated. His life had been full of broken deals, lies, and selfish trades. He had grown used to disappointment. But something in the dragon's eyes, the pain, the loyalty, moved him in a way he could not explain. "Yes," Aaron said firmly. "I believe they matter." The dragon studied him for a long moment. Then slowly, he lowered his great head until his snout touched the cracked floor only a few steps away from Aaron. The movement was cautious, deliberate, like a test. Aaron's breath caught. He had never been so close to a dragon before. He could see the lines of age across the scales, the faint glow beneath them, the scars of battles long past. He wanted to run, yet something stronger held him still. With trembling hands, Aaron reached out. His fingers hovered above the dragon's snout, heat radiating from the scales. And then gently he touched him. The dragon's eyes widened faintly. Smoke puffed from his nostrils, but he did not pull away. Instead, he exhaled a slow, deep breath, warm against Aaron's arm. A bond formed in that moment. Silent, powerful, undeniable. The dragon had waited a century for a human's touch, and now at last it had returned. Aaron felt his chest tighten with something he had not known in years. Belonging. The dragon spoke again, his voice softer than before. "You are not her, but you are human, and perhaps that is enough." Aaron's eyes burned, though he did not understand why. He whispered, "I don't know why I came here, but maybe I was meant to find you." The dragon lifted his head slightly, his flame burning brighter in the dome. For the first time in a century, hope touched his heart. Outside, unseen by both of them, the stars flickered faintly as something stirred in the darkness of space. But here, within the broken walls of the colony, a new story had begun. The forgotten promise. The small flame burned in the middle of the dome, its light dancing across the walls. Aaron sat close to it. His lamp dimmed now because he no longer needed it. The dragon's glow was enough. His eyes gleamed like twin embers, ancient and watchful, but softer than before. For a long time, neither spoke. Aaron kept running his fingers over the carvings on the wall, dragons flying beside human ships, humans standing tall beside scaled giants. Each figure told a story, and each story pulled him deeper into the forgotten past. Finally, Aaron broke the silence. What happened here? His voice was quiet but steady. How did everything end? The dragon let out a slow breath, smoke, curling toward the ceiling. His wings shifted slightly as though heavy with memories. The promise was broken, human, and the galaxy does not forgive broken bonds. Aaron turned toward him, waiting. The dragon's voice grew deeper, carrying sorrow like a heavy chain. This colony was once alive. Humans brought their children, their machines, their dreams. We dragons built beside them. Together we created a place where neither of us was alone. He lowered his gaze. But war came. Not from dragons. Not from humans here. It came from outsiders. Raiders. Fleets of scavengers who saw dragons as weapons and humans as prey. The humans of this colony fought bravely, but the Council of Worlds ordered them to retreat, ordered them to abandon this place. Aaron's chest tightened. He could picture it. The panic, the desperate flight, the last ships leaving while one dragon stayed behind. They begged me to leave with them, the dragon continued. But I would not. I remembered Alara's words. She placed her hand on me and swore, "We will return. Do not give up on us." His voice broke for a moment, rough with pain. And so I stayed. Aaron swallowed hard. And no one ever came back. The dragon shook his head slowly. Not once. They forgot. Or perhaps they chose to forget. His eyes glowed brighter, anger flickering deep within them. But I did not. I carried their promise in every breath, every flame, every lonely night. Aaron sat in silence, his heart aching. He thought of his own life, drifting from station to station, never belonging anywhere. And here was a creature who had given everything to believe in one human's word, a word that was never kept. "Do you hate them?" Aaron asked carefully. The dragon's eyes narrowed, his voice rumbling. "Hate? No. Hate burns too quickly. What I feel is sorrow. And sorrow lasts forever." Aaron looked down, his hand tightening on the cold stone. He had seen broken promises before, friends who lied, traitors who cheated, family who left without a word. But none of those wounds compared to this. This was betrayal on a scale he could hardly imagine. Still, he couldn't help whispering, "But maybe she meant it. Maybe she wanted to come back and couldn't." The dragon studied him, smoke curling softly from his nostrils. "Perhaps. But intention is not enough. A promise is more than words. It is action, and without action it dies." Aaron had no answer. His chest felt heavy and his throat burned. For the first time in years, he realized how much he wanted promises to mean something. The dragon lifted his great head, his gaze locked on Aaron. "Tell me, human, do your people still remember dragons, or have they erased us from their songs?" Aaron hesitated. "There are stories. My father told me tales when I was a child, about dragons who flew beside human ships, about fire lighting up the void. But most people say those are just myths. Legends." The dragon let out a sound between a growl and a sigh. "So even memory was lost?" Aaron's voice was small, but honest. "I believed those stories, even when others laughed. I wanted them to be true." The dragon leaned closer, his breath warm against Aaron's face. "And now you know they are." Aaron nodded, his eyes shining with quiet determination. "Yes. And I won't forget. Not again." For the first time, something like relief passed through the dragon's expression. His tired body shifted, and the fire inside him glowed a little brighter, but just as the bond between them grew stronger, the colony itself seemed to shudder. A faint vibration passed through the floor. Metal creaked. Aaron looked up sharply. "What was that?" he asked. The dragon's head lifted, his ears twitching. His gaze turned toward the broken windows, where the stars glittered coldly outside. His voice dropped low. "Not the colony. Something beyond." Aaron rushed to the shattered edge, his lamp casting light into the void. At first, he saw nothing. But then, a flicker, lights moving across the black horizon. Ships. The dragons. Chest rumbled, a warning growl echoing through the dome. They have come again. Scavengers, raiders, the same kind who once tore this place apart. Aaron's heart pounded. His small cargo ship had no real weapons, no defenses. And the dragon, he was ancient, weakened by time. But in the dragon's eyes, fire burned again, not bright, not young, but fierce. He turned to Aaron. This is why I remained, not only to wait, but to guard. Even now I will not let them take what is left. Aaron's voice shook. But you can't fight them alone. The dragon's gaze fell upon him, steady and unyielding. Then do not let me fight alone. Aaron drew in a sharp breath, torn between fear and courage. The waiting flame. The colony floated in silence around a dead star. Once, long ago, this place had been alive with laughter, engines, and light. Now only broken towers and empty halls remained, drifting in endless night. In the middle of it all, deep inside a hollow dome, an old dragon lay still. His scales were once bright like molten fire, but now they had faded into silver and gray. His wings were heavy, folded close to his tired body. For 104 years he had waited. Every day, the same endless cycle. Wake, rise slowly, walk through the ruins, and look toward the sky. He had seen ships pass by, sometimes flashing. Lights across the black horizon, but none came close. He did not roar. He did not call. He only watched. Because he was waiting for something more than a ship. He was waiting for love. The dragon remembered the promise. Humans had built this colony with dragons by their side. Together they dreamed of a home where both species could live in peace. They had shared food, fire, and stories. The humans had sung songs that touched even his ancient heart. One woman in particular had placed her hand gently on his snout and whispered, "We will return. Do not give up on us." But years turned to decades. Decades turned to a century. Still he waited. Sometimes, when the loneliness grew too sharp, he lit a small flame in the hollow dome. The fire crackled weakly, more smoke than heat, but it gave him comfort. He would stare into the little flame and imagine voices around him, the laughter of children, the sound of human boots on the metal floors, the soft hum of machines. He whispered old words to himself. Not forgotten, not yet. Outside, space was silent. The dead star gave no light, no warmth. The colony felt like a graveyard. Broken windows showed shattered stars. Dust floated in the air like ghosts of memory. The dragon's eyes glowed faintly in the dark, keeping watch, always keeping watch. One night, as the colony spun in its slow orbit, he thought he heard something new. A distant vibration, faint but real. The old dragon lifted his head, his ears twitching. For the first time in many decades, his heart beat faster. A ship. The sound grew louder, engines humming through the steel bones of the colony. He rose carefully, his joints stiff with age, his wings trembling with the effort. He moved toward the broken window, scales scraping the walls, and looked out. Yes. There it was. A cargo ship, small and old, but alive. Its lights blinked against the black void as it came closer. The dragon's chest tightened. His flame flickered brighter. Could it be? After 104 years, had someone returned? But fear pressed against hope. What if they were only scavengers here to strip metal and leave? What if they saw him and fired their weapons? He had grown weak. He was not the warrior he once was. Still, his heart whispered, "Wait. Watch." He crouched low, hiding within the shadows of the dome. His breath came slow and steady, smoke curling from his nostrils. His glowing eyes followed the ship as it docked with the colony's old airlock. A hiss of pressure, the grind of metal doors, and then footsteps. Human footsteps. He could hear them echoing down the empty corridor, slow and careful. A single figure stepped inside, carrying a small light. The glow revealed a young human, wrapped in a simple suit, scanning the ruins with wide eyes. The dragon stayed silent, hidden in shadow. He felt the urge to move forward, to reveal himself, but he waited. His heart pounded as he studied the human. The figure looked curious, cautious, but not cruel. They touched the walls gently, brushing away dust, and whispered to themselves, in awe, so much history here. The dragon lowered his head, his breath warming the stone floor. He wanted to speak, but the words stuck. He had waited so long, his voice felt like fire trapped in his chest. Instead, he lit his tiny flame again. The glow filled the dome, flickering across the cracked walls. The human froze, staring at the sudden light. Slowly, they turned toward the source. Their eyes widened. The dragon stepped from the shadows. Old, scarred, silver-scaled, his body trembled with age, but his eyes burned with living fire. Smoke curled around him as he lifted his head high. The human gasped, stumbling back against the wall. For a moment, neither moved. The silence was heavy, broken only by the faint crackle of the flame. The dragon finally spoke. His voice was deep, rough but gentle. I was waiting. The human's light shook in their hand. Their mouth opened, but no words came out. The dragon lowered his gaze, his chest rising and falling slowly. 104 years, he whispered. And still I waited. The human stared at him, fear mixing with wonder. And in that moment, the colony felt alive again. The human arrival. The young human stood frozen, his lamp shaking in his hand as the ancient dragon's words echoed through the empty dome. He had heard many stories of colonies lost, of ruins scattered across the stars, but he never imagined meeting a living dragon here. His name was Aaron. He had come alone, piloting a small cargo ship that once belonged to his father. Most of his journeys were simple, picking up scrap, trading food, carrying supplies between lonely outposts. He had expected this colony to be another dead station, nothing more than metal and dust. But now, standing in front of glowing eyes and shimmering silver scales, his heart pounded in his chest. The dragon did not move closer. He only watched, silent, waiting for Aaron to find his voice. Aaron swallowed, his throat dry. You're real. His voice was soft, almost a whisper. A dragon. Here, after all this time. The dragon's wings shifted slightly, the sound like old leather stretching. His breath came out in a low growl, but his words were gentle. I am real. And I waited. Aaron felt a shiver run down his spine. Something in the way the dragon spoke carried both sadness and strength. He stepped forward slowly, shining his lamp across the broken floor. Waited? For what? The dragon's eyes glowed brighter. For you. The word struck Aaron like a storm. For him? How could this be? He was no one. Just a trader, a drifter, a man searching for meaning among the stars. Yet this enormous creature, who had lived through centuries, spoke as if destiny had brought him here. Aaron looked around the dome, his lamp sweeping over crumbling walls and shattered windows. This place, it's all ruins. Why are you still here? The dragon lowered his head, smoke curling from his nostrils. Because a promise was made. A human promised she would return. She placed her hand upon me and she said, "Do not give up on us." His voice grew softer, heavy with memory. I believed her. So I waited. Aaron's chest tightened. He imagined the scene. Humans building this colony, dragons walking among them, laughter and trust filling these halls. And then abandonment. Silence. A single dragon left behind with only words to keep him alive. Did she ever come back? Aaron asked carefully. The dragon shook his head slowly. No, but I still waited. For 104 years. The silence between them was heavy, almost unbearable. Aaron wanted to look away, but he couldn't. He felt something in the dragon's gaze. Loneliness so deep it pierced through, his heart. He stepped closer, lowering his lamp. I don't know why I'm here. I didn't mean to find you, but maybe I was meant to. The dragon studied him for a long moment, then nodded once. Perhaps. Aaron walked further into the dome, his boots crunching against scattered debris. He saw old carvings along the wall, shapes of dragons flying beside human starships. The images were faded but powerful. He ran his fingers across the lines, feeling the history pressed into cold stone. This place is full of stories, Aaron said quietly. The dragon's voice rumbled low. Stories that the galaxy has forgotten, but I have not. Aaron turned, his light falling on the dragon's tired face. Maybe they don't have to be forgotten. I can listen. I can learn. The dragon blinked slowly, his eyes glowing with faint fire. He did not smile, but something inside him stirred, a small spark, long buried, now flickering alive. For the first time in more than a century, he did not feel entirely alone. Aaron looked back at the docking corridor. His ship was small with limited supplies. He had not planned to stay long. But leaving now, after seeing this, felt impossible. He took a deep breath and whispered to himself, maybe this is the reason I came here. The dragon tilted his head, his massive horns glinting in the weak flame. You will stay? Aaron hesitated. He had spent most of his life moving from place to place, never staying, never belonging. And yet here, in a ruined colony beside an ancient dragon, he felt something different, something he had never felt before. Yes, he said softly, I'll stay, at least for a while. The dragon closed his eyes, exhaling a long, smoky breath. Then the waiting was not in vain. Aaron sat down on a broken stone, placing his lamp beside him. He looked at the dragon, the firelight flickering between them. Tell me, he said. Tell me about the humans who were here before. Tell me about the promise.